Highest number of COVID-19 infections in a single day from Sri Lanka reported today. National Elections Commission commences talks on the possibility of holding the general election. Commission member Jeevan addresses a letter to the NEC. Authorities reverse decision on relaxing curfew in the Colombo, Gampaha and Kalutara districts. Curfew in the Western Province extended until the 27th of April. Ranjinramanayake granted bail. Opinion surfaces in court claiming the curfew in the country has been illegally imposed. Crude oil prices record its deepest slump since 1999.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. I'm Jeevan for the Newsfirst team. We will start off our bulletin today with a news item we received a short while ago. The National Elections Commission has decided to hold the general election on the 20th of June this year. The chairman of the commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, confirmed this to Newsfirst today. Accordingly, the general election will be held on the 20th of June this year. Now, taking a look at the situation pertaining to COVID-19 in Sri Lanka, a total of 33 patients who tested positive for COVID-19 were identified from Sri Lanka today, while 24 of them were identified this morning. Director General of Health Services Specialist Dr. Anil Wijesinghes said the 24 COVID-19 patients who are identified this morning were residents of Bandaranayake Mawatha, Colombo 12, who were under self-quarantine. Accordingly, the total number of COVID-19 cases in the country rose to 304.
199 COVID-19 patients are currently receiving treatment at hospitals across the country. 122 suspected cases of COVID-19 are currently under medical observation. The Ministry of Health said 6 people had recovered from the virus over the past 24 hours, while total number of recoveries stand at 98. 7 deaths owing to COVID-19 have been reported from the country. 271 people who had arrived in the country from overseas are currently undergoing quarantine at 38 quarantine centers situated island-wide. Among them are 3 foreign nationals. COVID-19 patients have been identified from 15 districts of the country thus far. A majority of COVID-19 patients in the country have been identified from the Colombo, Kalutara, Puttalam, Gampaha and Jaffna districts. The highest number of COVID-19 patients have been identified from the Colombo district. 24 people residing in Bandaranayake Mawatha, which falls under the purview of the Kesalvatha Police Division in Colombo, have tested positive for COVID-19. 21 people from this group have been admitted to the Mulleriyawa Hospital, while the rest are receiving treatment at the Institute of Infectious Diseases. The Bandaranayake Mawatha in Kesalvatha is currently under strict supervision. Accordingly, no one is allowed to enter or leave the area.
We obtained samples from 45 people in that community the day before yesterday. 15 people out of the 45 tested positive for COVID-19. 11 out of the 15 were from the same house, while 4 people were from different houses. This area is densely populated. Around 62 houses have been constructed in a compact space of between 15 to 20 perches. In excess of 230 people live in these 62 houses. We obtained samples from 90 people yesterday. 24 people out of the 90 tested positive for the virus.
The first person to contract the virus in the area was a lady who had arrived in the island following a tour in India. Area residents claimed she had arrived in the country on the 11th of March from India. Subsequently, her husband and son had contracted the virus. Residents of 3 houses situated in close proximity to the residence of the family in question had been directed to the Valisara quarantine center. 6 of them had later contracted the virus.
This lady who came from India, initially there was a speculation as to how she got positive after 33 days. But to see case was different. That is, she had come and she got probably contracted from another passenger in the plane, or even maybe 1 or 2 days earlier.
Right.
But she had got signs and symptoms definitely within 15 days of arrival. Well, she was in quarantine.
Oh.
She was in quarantine, but the thing is, she had got treatment for asthma kind of thing, right? You can see within during this period from say 15th day to 33 day, that is a long period. She got the disease,
After.
within 15 days, and she has been having, but she didn't sort of consider it as suspected COVID, and nobody suspected for that matter. So she continued to be in that community, of course, spreading the disease, and it's a very close community.
Meanwhile, Minister of Justice, Human Rights and Legal Reforms Nima Siripala de Silva said that a date has not been finalized to recommence operations at the Hulstorf Court Complex.
Today, I held discussion with the Justice Secretary and the Judicial Service Commission. It is the Judicial Service Commission which has powers to decide on reopening courts. They stated a decision cannot be reached on reopening the Hulstorf Court Complex considering the situation of the area surrounding the court premises. We hope to reopen courts based on the decision that they give us consulting health officials. There is no definite decision yet. We have informed that all cases filed at the Hulstorf Court have been moved to the Fourth Magistrates Court.
Meanwhile, entry to the Attorney General's Department, which is located in the vicinity of the Hulstorf Courts Complex, has also been suspended until further notice. This was stated in a letter sent by Additional Solicitor General Sumathi Dharmavardhana to the Judicial Service Commission. The decision to temporarily close down the facility had been made after a security officer at the department, who is attached to a private firm, had tested positive for the virus. The Additional Solicitor General noted that intelligence units will identify everyone who came into close contact with the security officer. Dharmavardhana requested the Judicial Service Commission to excuse the absence of state counsels in court proceedings, while observing that officers would not be in a position to retrieve their files from the department to prepare for their cases and appear in courts. The Additional Solicitor General also requested to consider the postponement of cases where the state is a party until state counsels are in a position to appear in court. 5 areas in the Colombo city and suburbs remain under strict observation, while no one is permitted to enter or exit these localities. Arunaloka Mawatha in Dehiwala, Anar Ratnayaka Mawatha in Maradana and Mihindu Mawatha in Gunasinghapura are among them. Nagalagam Street in Grand Pass remains under lockdown and observation, while 31 families residing in the area were directed to quarantine centers a few days ago. The remaining residents are under self-quarantine.
Okay, numbers are increasing, that is true.
Yeah.
But it is incremental increase, not exponential.
Yeah.
If it is going to be exponential increase, that means social transmission. So we are very worried.
So what you mean is the increase is coming in relatively small numbers?
Yeah, relatively small numbers, and so they are all connected. So if there are going to be a spillover effect, and the numbers going to be significantly increased, then of course we have to look back and we have to do something, right? So that's why we are very watchful, right? Then the lab, it says lab testing is limited.
Testing is limited.
Testing.
I think they talk about testing.
Yeah, but testing, now I know in US they do about 150,000. We have the capacity over 1,000
per day.
Right? This is a small community. Now we do now, for example, yesterday we did over 650.
Right.
Right? So it's not a small number. Given our epidemic situation. So I mean, any country, the ICU numbers, ICU beds are limited, right? But of course, in rich countries, you get more ICU beds.
Yeah.
So that is why we try hard to control the disease.
Yeah.
Right. Now we got now 271 patients.
Yeah.
Right. Out of them, about 10 were admitted to ICUs.
Right.
Right. So right now we have arranged 100 beds, 100 ICU beds if necessity arises.
And where is that?
No, in the hospitals.
All around?
Yeah, all around, right? Some are brand new, some are available hospitals, right? So then, if need arises, we will further, stretch the system.
The government has revised its decision to lift curfew on Wednesday in 4 districts, including Colombo. Accordingly, curfew imposed in the Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara and Puttalam districts will be extended until 5 a.m. on the 27th of April.
Revising the date and time announced to lift and reimpose curfew, the President's Media Division said entering or leaving the Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara and Puttalam districts is prohibited. Curfew in the remaining districts was lifted at 5 a.m. this morning and will be reimposed at 8 p.m. today. The President's Media Division announced that until the 24th of April, curfew in the remaining districts will be lifted at 5 a.m. and reimposed at 8 p.m. every day. The curfew imposed at 8 p.m. on the 24th of April will continue until 5 a.m. on the 27th of April. Accordingly, curfew in these areas will be in effect throughout the weekend. The regulations issued earlier regarding the operations of essential services, including agriculture, will remain unchanged.
Curfew in 18 districts was lifted at 5 a.m. this morning. With the relaxation of curfew, public transport services also recommenced. While guidelines on how public transport services should be executed were issued, our cameras captured the manner in which public transport services in certain areas were carried out.
The bus was packed with people more than the usual days. I sat on a person's shoulder while 2 others sat on mine.
The bus was jam-packed, it was overcrowded. This is footage of how police officers and PHIs identified such buses in Mahiyangana. The intercity bus service in Kurunegala did not function today. Our correspondent said, although public transport services recommenced today, the execution have been unsuccessful in many areas. Train services in several areas recommenced as well. Although it was earlier announced that train journeys would resume from certain areas, it did not take effect today. The office train, which usually commences its journey from Mahava to Colombo at 4:45 a.m., had arrived in Pulgahavela through Kurunegala at around 7:10 this morning. Several railway stations were disinfected today. Following the relaxation of curfew, people in many areas arrived at their respective towns to carry out day-to-day activities. While many had adhered to guidelines issued by health authorities, certain others had not heeded the advice of health authorities.
සැලුන් වල සාමාන්‍ය පරිදි කටයුතු සිද්ධ වෙනවනේ.
Permission had also been granted for liquor stores to reopen in areas where curfew was relaxed. Lengthy queues were witnessed opposite liquor stores in many areas.
The Sri Lanka Medical Association issued a statement on the COVID-19 situation in the country.
Thank government, Ministry of Health, Triforces, police, law enforcement and especially citizens of Sri Lanka for their contribution in controlling the spread of the epidemic so far. We are now at a decisive moment, slowly trying to normalize the situation. We thank the government for taking the correct decision to extend the curfew in the hotspots by 1 week. The relaxation process should be well planned, executed in stages to prevent resurgence, and to ensure that what we have achieved as a nation so far is not reversed. We emphasize the importance of maintaining the physical distance, and to achieve that end, we suggest the government to take all the necessary measures, ensure community engagement and community participation in this endeavor.
Director of the Medical Research Institute in Boralla, Dr. Jeevan Bandara, had called for a media briefing this morning.
Curfew in 18 districts was relaxed after assessing the control of the spread of the virus in those districts. People residing in those districts should know to protect themselves. We have granted people the opportunity to carry out their day-to-day activities, engage in their jobs and to fulfill their essential needs. This is needed in a country, especially to restore normalcy and to ensure that people are given an opportunity to purchase medicine. Even China, a country which was worst affected by the virus, recommenced activities to restore normalcy. The people should utilize this freedom mindfully and fulfill their responsibilities. Ensure that once you step out of the house, you do not return home with the virus. That responsibility applies to all, including you and I.
Many industries continue to be battered as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Accordingly, oil or crude oil extended its slide today, falling to the lowest in more than 2 decades. This was as the deal by OPEC Plus and other producers failed to counter the demand hit from a crippled global economy. West Texas Intermediate, the US marker, dropped more than 30% in today's trading, crashing below $13 a barrel for the first time since 1999. Brent crude also declined by a further 5.95% today, closing at $26.4 per barrel. In more news from here at home, district secretaries from across the country were summoned to the Presidential Secretariat today to discuss the initiatives that must be led by them to combat the spread of COVID-19.
The meeting, chaired by the President, focused on preparing a mechanism to purchase agriculture products as well as the storage and distribution of agriculture produce. The President's media division said the President had praised the district secretaries for their support to contain COVID-19 in Sri Lanka. The President had also briefed all district secretaries on measures that have been taken to combat the spread of the virus. The need to establish a corporation to purchase vegetables similar to the Ceylon Fisheries Corporation was also discussed during the meeting.
We are inviting employees to join local industries. We have informed those in the apparel industry to diversify their services by joining various industries such as the agriculture industry. We should take steps to ensure that the lives of the people are restored to normalcy by discussing about it and implementing the relevant initiatives.
The district secretaries pointed out that given the prevailing situation, many customers opt to purchase goods directly from the farmer, which has proved to be a success.
A letter sent by Professor Jeevan to the National Election Commission, in which he is a member, made the rounds today. The letter sent on the 16th of April revolved around matters concerning the date of conducting the general election.
In his this letter, Professor Hool said the chairman of the National Elections Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, in a telephone conversation on the 14th of April, had revealed plans to submit a proposal during today's meeting to decide that the election would be held on the 28th of May. However, Professor Hool said that he had objected towards announcing the date of the election. Professor Hool explained that he had held this stance based on 7 grounds. He said that once candidates commence campaigning activities, the Election Commission would lose all credibility if the dates are changed again. Accordingly, he noted that announcing a new date for the election would worsen problems for the polls body. The NEC members added that if the election is held on the 28th of May, there would be no time to avert a constitutional crisis, as the new parliament should be convened on the 2nd of June as required by the constitution. He said there are serious questions regarding the public's exposure to the virus if the polls are conducted, thereby posing severe health risks to the voters. Professor Hool added that many people express disappointment with the politicization of the epidemic but are fearful of being quoted in that regard. He observed that the franchise to vote is a fundamental right and that it will be violated if many abstain from voting if the election exposes voters to life-threatening risks. He added that the right to life is also a fundamental right. Accordingly, Professor Hool said that forcing poll workers and voters to risk their lives by conducting the election is a violation of their right to life. The NEC members put forth a few suggestions in order to resolve this issue. Among the recommendations he made were to revoke the gazette issued to dissolve Parliament to buy time at least till the 2nd of September in order to allow the Parliament to sort out the legal problems that arise, including government funding. He also suggested to follow the COVID-19 exit strategy released by the College of Community Physicians yesterday.
Staying on the same topic, the chairman of the National Election Commission, publishing a post on Facebook, expressed his views regarding the general election, which has been making the rounds recently. In his Facebook post, Mahinda Deshapriya stated that neither he nor the National Election Commission would wish to make statements on socially sensitive topics or matters that could stir debates before discussing it. Accordingly, he noted that he would not be able to express his personal opinion regarding the election. Meanwhile, public service management assistants and representatives of postal service trade unions have notified the Election Commission of the difficulties in carrying out their election-related duties given the current situation in the country.
The health authorities are yet to announce that danger has subsided. Who will bear the risk faced by postal workers? As the association, we request of the Elections Commission take a decision after considering the country. We will have to go from house to house to distribute leaflets. Not only that, when we handle postal votes, we need to handle and sort them. We will have to distribute all the letters about preferential votes as well. Because of this, we will have to be among the public. Therefore, we hope that the chairman of the Elections Commission will make the right decision up until this danger is eradicated from this country. Meanwhile, the Association of Public Sector Management Assistants stated that they may have to consider the risk to their lives and refuse to take part in election duties. They state that doing so, given the current context, could essentially be state sector workers waving at the face of death.
The Colombo Stock Exchange will not recommence on the 22nd of April as announced previously. The CSE earlier announced that trading, which was halted due to COVID-19, would resume on the 22nd of April. However, in view of the government's announcement this morning that curfew in the districts of Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara and Puttlam will continue until the 27th of April, the CSE will not recommence trading on the 22nd of April 2030 as decided earlier. And with that, we cross over for a short commercial break.
This is Newsline Live. Watch us for all the action. We ask all the questions that you want answers to.
Welcome back to the news. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today issued a special statement in remembrance of the April 21st attacks.
We Sri Lankans are no strangers to suicide bombings. However, the April 21st bombings differed from what we had experienced during the 30-year war against separatism. The intelligence service of a friendly country had provided advanced warnings to the then Sri Lankan government of the possible dates and targets of the attacks and the names and addresses, identity card numbers and even telephone numbers of the terrorists involved. Therefore, this attack could easily have been prevented. The Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, has requested all Catholics to light a lamp in their homes in remembrance of the victims. I wish to request all Sri Lankans to remember those who died, those who were injured and those who were disabled due to the April 21st attacks in accordance with their own faiths. I wish you the blessings of the Triple Gem. May God bless you.
At a situation pertaining to COVID-19 globally, there are more than 2.4 million COVID-19 infections worldwide, with more than 165,000 deaths. Spain reported 4,266 new infections in the past 24 hours through Monday, pushing the total above 200,000. Novartis AG, a pharmaceutical company, will fund and run a US study of the malaria drug hydroxychloroquine for COVID-19, the latest effort to conduct a rigorous test of the hyped medicine. The 65-year-old medicine will be tested alone and in combination with the antibiotic azithromycin in a study of about 440 hospitalized patients. According to the Russian consumer health watchdog, Russia reported 4,268 COVID-19 cases yesterday, a 10% increase overnight. China's foreign ministry today said the international community, quote, should work together through these difficult times instead of pointing fingers at each other. The virus is the common enemy of all mankind and may appear at any time in the world. Like many other countries, China was attacked by the virus. We are the victim instead of the culprit, unquote. The statement was made in response to the comments made by US President Donald Trump previously, where he raised the prospect that China deliberately caused the COVID-19 outbreak that has killed over 39,000 Americans. Meanwhile, a top Wuhan laboratory official has denied any role in spreading the novel coronavirus in the highest level response from a facility at the center of months of speculation about how the previously unknown animal disease made the leap to humans. The latest statistics from China's National Health Commission indicate that hundreds of people were wrongly listed as cured and discharged in the central city of Wuhan. The number of people cured there was reported as 47,300 on Friday, but that figure dropped today down to 46,359. Japan's government bolstered its extra budget by $82.6 billion to cover the additional costs of expanded cash handouts during the coronavirus crisis. Protesters have taken to the streets in the states across the United States, demanding that governors reopen economies shut by the coronavirus pandemic. Rallies in Arizona, Colorado, Montana and Washington states took place yesterday following earlier protests in half a dozen states. US President Donald Trump has signaled support for the protests. The United Kingdom is gearing up to use the blood of coronavirus survivors to treat hospital patients ill with the disease. The hope is that the antibodies they have built up will help to clear the virus in others. The US has already started a major project to this study involving more than 1,500 hospitals. In news from here at home, former MP Ranjinramanayake, who was arrested on charges of obstructing the duties of police officers, was released on bail today by the Nugegoda Magistrates Court.
The former parliamentarian was released on two sureties worth Rs 200,000 each until he fulfills his bail conditions.
පොලිසිය ඉදිරිපත් කරපු කරුණ නම් ඇඳරි නීතිය කඩ කරා ඇඳරි නීතිය තියෙන වෙලාවේ බලපත්.
The police have leveled charges against him for violating the curfew and that he had been involved in bringing a vehicle without a valid curfew permit. There is no lawful curfew in the country. We are following it only due to the current situation in the country. However, the curfew is not lawful. According to the law, there are certain methods through which a curfew can be imposed. I don't know why the government has not followed these methods. Therefore, it is wrong to accuse a person for violating the curfew and travelling without a valid curfew permit. While the police is committing an unlawful act, we cannot allow several people to be arrested. They have confiscated vehicles. That too is unlawful. Based on the points that I made in court, they granted bail to Ranjinramanayake.
මම පත් කරපු කරුණු සලකා බලලා රංජන්රාමනායක මහත්තයට අප දීලා තියෙනවා.
After fulfilling the bail conditions, Ranjinramanayake left the premises.
The National Elections Commission met earlier today and discussed regarding the postponed general elections, which are now scheduled to be held on the 20th of June. They also met with a number of other stakeholders.
The National Elections Commission met at 10 a.m. this morning with the participation of its chairman Mahinda Deshapriya. The meeting was also attended by Commission member Professor Jeevan and Professor Nalin Abesekara. The Commission then held discussions with the district secretaries who are to act as returning officers of their respective districts. Returning officers attended the meeting following discussions held earlier with the President. Health Ministry officials, including the Director General of Health Services, the Postmasters General and the government printer, also arrived at the Commission for discussions.
COVID-19. We spoke of steps that can be taken to prevent the spread of COVID-19 as well as to see if there is anything that can be done from a health perspective. No, up to now, all these patients have been found through links to an already infected individual. We see the number as high because we are now taking a large number of samples. Now, Bandaranaike in Colombo is a place that has a high population density. There seems to be a tendency to move about within that area.
අවට නිවෙස්වල ළඟම අයට ගියපු ස්වභාවයක් මේ අවස්ථාවේදී මැතිවරණයකට යාම සම්බන්ධයෙන් මැතිවරණ කොහොමද
The chairman of the Elections Commission must do that. All we can do is provide health advice. He will have to make the decision.
පටිපාටිය විතරයි තීරණ ගන්න එතුමා.
Meanwhile, former MPs Dr. Harsha De Silva and Manusha Nanayakara, representing the Samagi Janabalawegya, also arrived at the Commission to attend the meeting.
අපිට ඕන් කිව්වා
They told us the leaders of the main political parties will be called into to meet the chairman Mahinda Deshapriya. The Commissioner General has decided to hold meetings by breaking it down into two groups. There will be one meeting for those contesting in more than 10 districts and another for those contesting in less than 10 districts. I think as of now the number of cases has gone up in an exponential manner, even though they expected the matter to be resolved by the 19th. It is on the 19th that the highest number of cases are reported. We want the election to be held as soon as possible. We want an election, but we don't want an election if it will put the lives of the people at risk.
මිනිසුන්ගේ ජීවිත අවදානමක් නැති විදියට තමයි වෙන්න ඕනේ.
ආණ්ඩුව කියන්නේ ඔබතුමාලගේ අසමගිය නිසා ඔබතුමාලා මේ ඡන්දය කල් දාන්න උත්සාහ කරනවා කියනවා.
ආණ්ඩුවට නොයෙකුත්
The government can say many things, but the reality is that we are not prepared to hold an election that can potentially put the lives of people at risk.
මේ පරදුවට තියලා මාරයාගේ ඡන්දයක් කරන්න අපිට මේ අවස්ථාවේදී අවශ්‍ය නැහැ.
JVP Politburo member Vasant Raghavan made a statement on social media today. Taking into account the conduct of the government and several other matters, I decided to post a video on social media. The government is attempting really hard to hold the elections. Ministers and MPs in the government are trying to justify why the election should be held and how COVID-19 will not be an issue. When we know that relevant authorities from the Elections Commission are intervening into the matter, there is concern if certain organizations will function actively. AG's department, judicial organizations and several other institutions can be sealed and shut down, citing that a COVID-19 patient was in the area. Even media organizations can be suppressed through this, so the people will not get accurate information about the situation of the country.
ඒ මාධ්‍ය ආයතනත් ගොනු කරන්න යන්න හේතු වෙන්නේ එතකොට ජනතාවට නිවැරදි තොරතුරු දැනගන්න තියෙන අයිතියක් නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්කම තියෙනවා.
Here are some views expressed in the political arena regarding the general election.
Enfranchisement is a democratic right of the people. We have been able to successfully contain the COVID-19 thus far. So if the health sector recommends, if the security units are confident that this can be eradicated, and if responsible authorities feel that this could be contained, there is no need to consult the politicians. I think we should hold the elections and be fair to the people. We request the National Elections Commission to postpone the election to prevent the people from falling prey to the coronavirus. I propose to refrain from conducting the election until the coronavirus is completely eliminated from the country. The people's lives are more important to us than an election. People should be alive to cast votes for us. I wish to request the Elections Commission to reach a decision on behalf of the people instead of succumbing to undue pressure.
මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ ඉතාමත්ම කරුණාවෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා.
This is not a time to speak about politics. This is the time to speak about the health of the people. By extending the curfew, we expect that the coronavirus will not reach a community transmission phase and that the high-risk zones will be protected so that the safety of the people can be guaranteed. We called for the election before the coronavirus started spreading in Sri Lanka. However, it is up to the Election Commission to decide on the date of the poll. They wanted to conduct the general election on the 25th of April by stirring up sentiments of last year's April 21st attacks. The election had been postponed due to natural reasons. I am ready to face the election at any time, but I wish to tell them to do anything they want after saving the people from this virus and eliminating it from the country. They are distributing relief in the backdrop of a pandemic. How are they doing it? When there are district secretaries, state officials, the army and the police, relief should be distributed in a fair manner. They are using this for their political advantage. Politicians are preparing lists favorable and distributing relief among who they want. Basil Rajapaksa was the one who sent me from Kelaniya. I, however, hold no grudges against him. He has done everything he can to support his brother's victory. I wish to tell the chairman of the Elections Commission, who is from the south, to not permit such unlawful acts from taking place.
We
know that the National Elections Commission should be independent. We expect that this independent nature will be protected. Jeevan is a foreign agent. He has never made any remarks to safeguard the democracy in the country. He always makes remarks against our government. We feel that he is a person who betrays our country. Therefore, we wish to state that the Elections Commission should not conduct the election as per the wishes of the people, instead of joining hands in this manner, who is trying to destroy the
The Negative Mood Sri Lanka theme song was created to inculcate a positive mindset within the people of Sri Lanka, and we also requested and invited you, our viewers, to lend your voices in supporting our endeavour. We leave you tonight with the Negative Mood Sri Lanka theme song. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Jeevan. If in case you missed any stories that were aired tonight, you can simply log on to our award-winning website www.newsfirst.lk, and also our social media platforms on Facebook Newsfirst.lk. Take care, stay safe, good night.
Sangka පාදක අතරින් නැගිටිමු ශ්‍රී ලංකා හිතමු ඉදිරියම එක වන්දනම නැගිටිමු ශ්‍රී ලංකා හෙට ඉදිවන නව ලෝකය හමුවේ නැගිටිමු ශ්‍රී ලංකා නැගිටිමු ශ්‍රී ලංකා අපි නැගිටිමු ශ්‍රී ලංකා காணாத மனித பண்புகள் தீண்டிடும் ஸ்ரீலங்கா. Must unite and march ahead. Rise Sri Lankans now. Negative Sri Lanka.
Gammada Negatimu Sri Lanka.